Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And I wanted to talk today about the spiritual context of narcissism, right? And what's really going on in our collective right now, right? Because we've got this distortion, which is narcissistic abuse, and it's got out of hand, right? It's imbalanced in our situation. And I had some really good questions from Lisa, which I'm going to go through to help us understand like what is actually happening in our evolution. Because here's the thing, right? We're human, but we're multidimensional beings. So we operate, so people talk a lot about the 5D and being the 5D and being the 3D, but we actually came to be in all of them and we're operating in all of them. So 5-dimensional is things like your spiritual gifts, your psychic abilities, your your spirituality exists. It's a multi-dimensional universe. We do have past lives, we have reincarnations, we come as a soul to learn things, to break karma, to elevate consciousness on the planet. We basically all have the same purpose, right, at core, but we've all got different ways of doing it. So even if you think, well, I don't have a job or anything fancy that seems to be moving humanity forward, in fact your evolution on this planet as part of the collective is important. Every single one of us is on purpose. Every single one of us, as you evolve past certain cycles, you break out of certain chains and consciousness, you elevate the planet as a whole. And that's what we're all here to do, right, in our own different ways. So when we're going through an elevation of consciousness on the planet, yeah, there's a backlash. There's a bigger backlash wanting to hold that elevation down. Why? Because if we elevate past needing to be abused and, you know, all this kind of like the abuse cycles, then it just doesn't exist. So not intentionally trying to wipe narcissists out, we actually it just doesn't exist. It can't coexist with where we're going as a race, which is to come into what I talk about all the time, what I teach, our authentic power and truth, to be self-actualized, to be able to receive from the universe everything from being ourselves, to be doing things that are purposeful and passionate and that we love, and to be rewarded for it, to not have to sacrifice and self-abandon, to be loved, to be safe, to be secure, to be paid, right? So that we get to be ourselves, and that's enough to just like be abundant on the planet, right? That's where we're going. That's what I teach. But like at the same time, as we elevate the consciousness on the planet towards that, everything that's not that gets louder, right? So more of us have to rise, which is why we're really passionate about this work, yeah? Why we're all here. And so we're not directly trying to wipe out narcissists. It's just that as we raise our consciousness, they can't coexist. Now, what also is going to happen is there going to be light and dark? Yes, always, right? There's always going to be contrast in the 3D world, but that doesn't have to come in the form of narcissistic abuse. So we've got narcissistic abuse at the moment as the expression of the darker energy, right? The contrasting energy. As we elevate, I don't think it will be narcissism. It will be something else, sure, but it won't be the same. It will be at a higher elevation. And understanding like what people mean by 3D and 5D. So 3D is the 3-dimensional. It's our purely physical experience. It's what I can see, hear, touch and taste. It's my physical reality. It's what's like my mind understands, yeah? And the 5D and the other dimensions are what my spirit understands, right? And my access to the quantum field where I can manifest, where I can create, where I can download, where I can do things beyond just like trying, like what Joe Dispenza calls trying to change matter with matter, which is when we're just in a very, all we see is the 3D world and we think that we have to try and change it in very limited ways rather than expanding into our higher consciousness and the other dimensions available to us so that we can manifest, so that we can actually create transformation in our lives and actually move our lives and the lives around us forward. So we're not meant to be in just one dimension, and we're already not. You're already in multi-dimensions, whether we realize it or not, and you'll know it. You'll know it because you'll have had maybe someone past and you'll feel their essence. You'll know it because you'll have had intuition. You'll know it because some of you are very intuitive, right? We know that we're not really just our body and mind, but we are kind of in this matrix which is making us believe that you're already multidimensional, but our job as we elevate is to be in all of them. And we're meant to also enjoy the 3D world, right? We didn't come by accident. The 3D isn't supposed to be like just a torture chamber where we get hurt. It's actually where we come to experience like our planet. So we actually want the 3D experience as well as all the others. Like the 5D isn't above, like in terms of more important than the 3D, because whatever we can download and connect with multidimensional will affect our experience on this plane, which is what we want. We want to experience, you know, we came for the experience of life and the goodness of what the 3D can give us. So Lisa had some questions and I want to just answer them. So one of them was, if we help each other awaken and heal and raise to 5D consciousness, right? And what I'm saying is, it's not about raising to 5D consciousness. It's about knowing how to navigate the different dimensions so that we can have a better 3D experience, because you are a human as well as you are a spirit, right? So it's not raising to 5D consciousness. It's about being in a multi-dimensional way, in a more powerful way. That's what we're learning, right? We want to be in all of them. How to recognize narcissism, and learn how everyone can turn off their oxygen valve for narcissists, which is what we're being called to do. No reaction, no fear is no food, no oxygen to narcissists. Though eventually only the narcissist will remain on the 3D. I think by what you're saying by 3D, Lisa, I think you're meaning just in the ego. Yeah, only narcissists will remain in the purely ego base. But the thing is, we're the battery source. So again, we're a collective. We're not individual. We're actually a whole. So when we don't fuel, when we don't believe in the disempowerment of I have to abandon myself and sacrifice to survive by giving to someone who's abusive, who I believe is more sovereign, more powerful than me, yeah, then they have to awaken into a better reality with all of us. We're actually a collective consciousness. So when we don't feed that idea, that concept, you know, I talk to you all the time about narcissists are plugged into a consciousness. Everything's consciousness, including love. So when we don't plug into the idea that in order to be loved, I have to be abused. In order to be safe, I have to be abused. In order to have money, I have to tolerate less than my full self-expression, then yeah, the whole thing raises. We raise for everyone, right? The planet elevates. So they don't just exist in the 3D. It's like we rise as a whole, as a collective, yeah? And please remember, we're using our light to fuel that dark. It doesn't exist without us giving it energy. So let's put our energy, that's what I'm talking about all the time in my work, like let's put our energy into ourselves, what we want to experience, our truth, our values. There was a very good comment on here as well about someone saying, well, you know, without the narcissist, I kind of feel low, I feel lonely, I feel isolated, because we haven't learned to be fully ourselves yet, right? I've got Live Fully Now as a membership, guys, if you want to join that, that's only $55 a month. But, you know, we want to start communities where we're exploring who we are, yeah? That what would make us fully expressed, because it's only when we're in fear and lack, when we don't believe we get to be ourselves, we get to have what we want, we don't know how to figure that out, that we would go to other people to try and fill a void, to try and like stimulate us or entertain us, because we're not sure what would make us happy. So we'd rather have the drama and the distraction than the true self-expression. This is the elevation of consciousness that we're going through. So it's about raising the collective frequency rather than you're on this frequency and I'm on that. Although whatever frequency we're on, we tend to go up and down a lot, you know, like our consciousness does. But like as we raise our frequency, then we start becoming a match for more things that we want and love, and we start pulling people up, rather than when we meet someone who's on a lower frequency being dragged down, which is the whole problem with the narcissistic abuse cycle, that even if we've raised our frequency, it constantly puts us back into scarcity, constantly puts us back, like attacks our root chakra, constantly puts us back into survival, and like, you know what I mean, I just need to survive, rather than I need to be abundant, I need to expand, I need to be fully expressed. Another question, what if narcissists would run out of empaths? If empaths don't feel narcissists, narcissists cannot exist. So they can't find one. Then what happens? They have to have an awakening. Yeah, they have to attach to their soul again. That plan doesn't work. That's what happens. But sometimes narcissists do get with narcissists, and I've seen that, and they try and out-narc each other. But the juiciest supply to a narcissist isn't another narcissist, although they're already all around each other. They do, like, you know, stick to each other because they feed each other's egos. But like, you've got to remember, our needs are love, yeah, to feel connected, to feel collective as well. Like, you know, we have like needs inside of us that are very human, empathy focused needs, right? Care, compassion, nurture, understanding, you know, true connection. Whereas a narcissist doesn't need that because they're soul detached. They're not looking to connect, right? They're just on a destructive mission because they're operating from they're operating in survival, but in a very ruthless way, where it's like what I want at all costs, and like, you know, just like, I don't know, take, but there's no real fulfillment in that overall. But they're kind of void, like I say, when I say, like, it's not true what people say about the narcissist is in some kind of emotional, like when we feel empty, it's really horrible to us. We feel disconnected. We often get depressed when we feel empty. But a narcissist doesn't feel empty in the way that we do, in terms of they feel sad about it. They're just generally empty, right? And they just chase more of what they can get. But there's no feeling that we would have of fulfillment, of love, of connection, you know. So that's kind of how it works with them. Do they protect each other? Oh, they're often all around each other. Can a narcissist become a victim of another narcissist? They kind of try and out-narc each other. That often happens. I've seen, like, when narcissists leave relationships, they get with another narcissist, and like one of them is more manipulative. Like they meet their match sometimes, and that's their karma, where like they don't see it coming, that someone's actually more manipulative, more spiteful, more evil than them. That does happen. So could narcissists become victim of each other? Narcissists, they don't really care. Like, they're egomaniacs. So it's like when you pull down a narcissist, they get angry because how dare you challenge them. But it's not like how we get when our heart is hurt, you see. We manifest through our hearts. That's why they go for our hearts every time. Yeah, they go for your root chakra, which is your feeling of safety and security in the world and validation in who you are. They go for your hearts, because when we get heartbroken, it's very difficult for us to create in our lives, because we lose our inspiration, we lose our joy, we lose our magnetism, we lose our ability to connect, right? So they're not heart-centered in the same way. So it's all competitive with the narcissist. When they get out-narked, they want to just go back with more spiteful things, right? It's how wars are started, like narcissists. That's how it is. Narcissists trying to be bigger than other narcissists. These are not weird questions, my love. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to share. Let me know your comments, and please join us often if you can. Lots of love, guys. I'll speak to you soon.